So it looks like Marcus Morris has some harsh feelings towards the Clippers and possibly, of course, Ty Lue and the organization in regards to the abrupt role change that he had in his situation with the Clippers, because we know Marcus Morris was a starter for the Clippers the last few years, and then all of a sudden this past season, he came off Ty Lue put him off the bench, and it's only because Marcus Morris' production really hasn't been living up to par for a while. And I understand Marcus Morris' frustration because he looks at the Clippers as the team where he was a part of the culture. He's a big part of the culture. He's a big part of the reason why a lot of people might look at them as a championship team, because he's one of those defensive tough guys that, you might need on a team that can help you win a championship or that can get you that type of success. And I definitely feel where he's coming from, because I always looked at him as a valuable piece. I just looked at him the last couple seasons as not a valuable piece for the Clippers in the way that he should be, because living up to his contract, in which he'll get like $17 million, I think, this year from the Clippers, 17.1, I think, to be exact. He hasn't lived up to that money. And when I think about his role, well, really, I understand his frustration and being upset, the fact that he got, removed from the starting lineup. But at the same time, you got to sit there and look at the situation for what it's worth. I mean, you are supposed to be the third guy on this team that they can count on every single night. You haven't been that. Reggie Jackson took that title away from him a couple seasons ago in the playoffs. Reggie Jackson played unbelievable in the playoffs a few seasons ago. If Kawhi didn't get hurt against Utah, I promise you the Clippers being the NBA, they would have bare minimum made the NBA Finals. No doubt about it. Probably won it, because I just don't think Giannis is a better player than Kawhi Leonard. That's just my opinion. Giannis is good, but the only thing he does is dunk the whole time, and he doesn't have a jump shot. He barely can shoot free throws. And that's the reason why I don't think he's ever going to win any other championships, and that's why he got eliminated by Jimmy Butler in the Heat in 5 games this year, a playing tournament team. Couldn't even go 7 games against them because his jump shot is so horrible. It's so broke. The only thing he does is dunk. In the regular season, it's okay because you go from team to team, night to night, and nobody's really focusing a lot of games. But when you in a 7-game series, teams are focused on you ×2, and you got to be as sharp as possible. And without a jump shot, when teams build a wall against Giannis, he looks a little bit average or a little bit above average. And that's the problem with Giannis. That's the reason why him winning that championship that year was because nobody else was around. Kawhi was hurt. LeBron was hurt. Every superstar you could think of was just about hurt. Even his teammate, one of his teammates were hurt, and I think Kyrie was hurt and all that stuff. So it's like he won a championship on a easy road, which no disrespect to him. A win is a win, so you got to count it. But regardless, the Clippers would have made the championship to me if Kawhi was healthy that year. But in regards to Marcus Morris, as I said before, you got somebody like Reggie Jackson coming off the bench, Reggie Jackson getting acquired by this team a few years ago. And shout out to him for winning the championship with Denver. He definitely deserves it. But, he comes to the team a few years ago and he becomes the third guy in the playoffs where he's not even getting paid probably half the money. He won't even get paid half the money, I don't think, that Marcus Morris was getting paid. And he showed up in the playoffs more than Marcus Morris ever did, I believe, since he's been a part of the Clippers. So my point is, Marcus Morris could be upset all he wants, but his game and his days are expiring as, possibly an NBA player, because his game really isn't living up to the level of the money he's getting paid. He's getting paid more for his name rather than his gameplay now. And that's something I know that he doesn't want to come to reality with or understand or even cope with or even try to deal with. But at the same time, he has to deal with it because there's no other way to look at it, dude. You are one of those players that people looked at as a defensive guy, basically a 3-and-D guy with an edge to him. That's basically what him and his brother has always been, Marcus and Markieff, ever since they came to the league in 2005 or 2004, something like that, with the Phoenix Suns got drafted by them. Ever since they came to the league, that's what they were known as, 3-and-D guys, but with an edge to them. They were very rough, very rugged, like to fight, like altercation, like confrontation, but can definitely knock down a 3 at a high level, definitely could shoot at a high level, and definitely could defend at a high level. That's what they're both known for. But now, when you look at Marcus Morris, he really doesn't have that in his arsenal. I mean, he can play defense at times when he wants to, and his 3-pointer is, it's okay. It's not like it was when he was with the Boston Celtics and years before that. I thought his jump shot was a lot better, back then with the Celtics and maybe a little bit before that. But, with the Clippers, he hasn't had no really bad seasons with the Clippers. He just hasn't had good playoff experiences with the Clippers. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, he just hasn't lived up to what he need to be in the playoffs. And if that's the case, that's the reason why a lot of people, that's the reason why a lot of fans, that's the reason why the organization, that's the reason why a lot of them don't really respect, what he's doing right now, in the playoffs, or what he has been doing in the playoffs. And that's the reason why I think that they're shopping Marcus Morris around. That's the reason why I think Marcus Morris' name is floating. And that's the reason why abruptly his starting role got diminished, because it's like Ty Lue actually saw, well, damn, this dude is he's a good player. He's very formidable, no doubt. But at the same time, he's not showing up in the moments when we need him in the playoffs. He's kind of struggling. He has a game or two where he's good. Then he has a game or two where he's bad. He's kind of like hit or miss. You see what I'm saying? And you need consistency out that third guy if you want to win a championship, because every team that has that third guy needs to be consistent as possible. And you look at the Denver Nuggets, their third guy technically is Michael Porter Jr. outside of Jokic and Jamal Murray. But when Michael Porter Jr. doesn't show up, hey, Aaron Gordon sometimes looks like the third guy. So it's basically 3A, 3B. You see what I'm saying? One shows up if one doesn't, or if both shows up, you have no chance of beating them. So it's like you got to have that third guy, or that person that you can count on every single night in the playoffs to give you that type of energy, because if you don't, it's going to be hard to win, because your two star players are putting too much onus on them, and which causes injuries, which causes fatigue, and which causes you to not go further or advance further in the playoffs, which is the reason why the Clippers haven't done so. And that's my point. When you look at this team and the way they're built and the way they're stacked, Marcus Morris is a big part of their culture, and he was a big part of what their expectations was going forward. They paid this man 4 years, $60 million. Well, $60 million should get you a good third guy in the playoffs that gives you consistent minutes, consistent jump shooting, and consistent defense. Yeah, of course, you can have off games, but you can't have more off games than on, because your role is to come in there and kind of, bring a little bit of division in regards to, hey, we can divide some of this, offensive load, because I can score some when Kawhi and PG are sitting down, or if one of them is off, I can help pick up the scoring load as a third guy at times when needed. But when Kawhi and PG were off, or when they were injured, or however you want to look at it, there were a lot of games where Marcus Morris looked obsolete. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got guys like, Reggie Jackson coming on here, who was retired from basketball almost about a few seasons ago, comes on the Clippers, and he becomes the third guy, making like $20 million with a $20 million contract for 2 seasons. You see what I'm talking about? So it's like, Marcus Morris, I understand his frustration, but at the same time, your gameplay hasn't lived up to what you think you are still. And you're not what you once was, obviously, or at least not for the Clippers, because the Clippers are pretty much done with Marcus Morris. And like I said, I know he's mad at Ty Lue and all these things, but Ty Lue really made a good decision by pulling him, because somebody like Robert Covington should be getting all Marcus Morris minutes to me, because Robert Covington is a younger, maybe not too much younger, but he's a better version to me of what Marcus Morris is. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's longer. He's taller. He can guard position 1 through 5. He's more mobile. And on top of that, like I said, he can shoot the 3. He can play D. He can knock down free throws. And he's a little bit more consistent on the floor. He makes things happen every time he steps on the floor. So to me, they should have been pulled Marcus Morris. But shout out to him for giving the years that he gave to the Clippers. Maybe he'll be back next season, but I doubt it. But if he doesn't, hey, good luck to him wherever he goes. But your role is your role, and this is what it is. But hey, leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think, as always, and we'll talk about it.